What prompted me, Wesley, was a great passion for Alaska. This has been my home since just a few months after the earthquake when I was born. I care a great deal about the state and its future. I learn new things every day being here. It's a fascinating place full of wonder. I want the future of Alaska to be a bright one, and I thought I could contribute something to it. Well, the fast answer is I absolutely do, and the proof is I think around May 8th I voted for Senate Bill 26, and it does exactly that. My opponent actually has opposed that, and I'm not sure where he would find the $1.8 billion we're drawing sustainably from the earnings reserve to help fund government. I think it's noteworthy that this was a bipartisan bill and that 11 of 13 state senators that are Republican members that voted on the matter voted in the affirmative. So I actually joined those Republican state senators. I think it's the way forward. Well, I believe that to move forward in a sustainable way, we need some source of new revenue. It's going to have to either come from industry or individuals. That's sort of it. It's a finite sources you can get new income from. We continue to have a deficit. We continue to have the threat of a growing deficit if prices plummet from the North Slope. And so I think that if there was broad consensus, I would support that. The House indeed took a bold measure in 2017 and voted for such a thing. The Senate refused to do that. I would, again, with broad consensus, support a revenue stream like you've discussed. Well, I took a very strong position in opposition to Senate Bill 91, perhaps the strongest. And one of the measures of that would be who offered the most amendments. Well, in the House, there were 30 that were brought to a final vote. 13 of the 30 were mine. And so I make the argument that, I'm not looking for a medal, but that I took the strongest position against the bill. I'm quite conservative on crime. One of the things I would do is I would fix the standard of review the parole board uses for discretionary parole. It was made more lenient, and I think too lenient. I also would enhance domestic violence penalties. The commission, that is the commission that helped draft or support SB 91, said they would not make changes to the domestic violence sentencing. They in fact did. And I made this point on the floor, but I could not get the support necessary. The other thing that I've supported is a standalone property crimes unit. So property crimes sort of necessarily is always going to be last in the pecking order because of the nature of the offense. That is, it's not going to compete well with violent crimes when there's limited resources. I think we should help property crime compete better. And a way to do that would give it effectively, its own earmark, its own office, its own set of prosecutors, its own appropriation. And then it might get the attention it deserves. So one of the things I did not do when I took on Senate Bill 91 vigorously was offer amendments on drugs. And one of the reasons I did that is I agree that a lot of the drug problem is a healthcare problem first. And so I respect and appreciate that concern. However, one of the problems with Senate Bill 91 is it doesn't compel people to do treatment or, in the alternative, go to jail. And it really needs to do that. The only way, I think, to get people better, of course, they need to want to get better. That's sort of a maxim that I believe in. But one of the things that could help them get better is to compel them to do it with the threat of jail as an alternative. Wesley, absolutely the biggest concern I hear about is crime. I hear it constantly. I hear it from liberals. I hear it from conservatives. I hear it from moderates. They're fed up. And my concern, and this was featured in the Daily News not long ago, is that SB 91, by minimizing concerns with property crimes, has foisted that problem onto the public. So the public is bearing that burden. Now, the good news is 11 months ago when I was in Juneau looking at Senate Bill 54, We've swung that pendulum back, and now one can in fact go to jail for committing property crimes. But the answer to your question is crime. Wesley, I am one of the leading supporters of aggressive climate change legislation. My House bill is the only bill in the legislature, and has been for 4 years, to take up the issue of climate change. My opponent has sort of mocked the issue and asked why it was even a legislative purview. I think that the state, even with just 730,000 people, I think it's imperative that we play a role in this too. Even if our carbon imprint or footprint is minor, we need to play a part in it too. And I'm willing to do anything I can to help in that regard.